Mark, good to see you. Thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I know you've been jetting around the world doing exciting things. I know you've been at New York Tech Week and stuff, so I appreciate you making a bit of time. I wanted to follow up on our last conversation. I mean, we've had a few over the years, but last time we were talking, you were saying that you've developed a product that is completely anonymous for communication, which struck me as quite an odd thing to do, actually. I mean, for the folks that are listening, I mean, just tell us a bit about this. What is this bit of technology that is completely anonymous, and why does it matter to people?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that, you know, we've been in telecoms for 30 years. It's a highly regulated industry. And this particular product came as an accident. And what it was a friend of ours approached us and said, look, I've been estranged from my wife. She won't let me have her mobile phone number. But I've got two young children and I can't speak to them. And it's kind of, you can understand the phone number bit. That's quite reasonable, quite logical, quite normal. But being able to talk to the kids, very young kids, that's difficult. So we basically said, leave it with us. We put it in as a side project just to help him out. And we built this thing that we actually ended up naming Pigeon Link. And the way it works is instead of having a phone number, we gave him 3 words. And with those 3 words, the kids could basically use mum's phone with a web application. Very, very simple. Type in the 3 words, and they're now communicating with dad. So the wife was actually quite happy. It worked, she wasn't giving out her mobile number. Kids were talking to dad, dad was talking to kids. It just worked. And that was kind of it. But then we thought about it and said, well, how big's this industry? How big's this problem? And it turns out, unfortunately, it's a huge problem. I mean, it affects millions and millions and millions of children. And so we thought, well, all right, let's take it a bit further then. There's obviously a need. Let's spend a bit more time on the product and let's move it forward. And as these things happen, it just developed. It started out as a calling application. It turned into messaging. It turned into video. It turned into live chat rooms. It turned into group chat. It's turned into the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And at each iteration, and this was actually, Paul, this was only 7 weeks ago.
Wow.
7 weeks ago that John came to us and said he's got this problem. We were very lucky. It's one of those things where we've got all the tools, we've got all the technology, we've got all the understanding about how to put these things together, and we just put it together. The anonymity part is like groundbreaking, and especially the way we've built it. And it's not just the anonymity. So we've actually gone. I kind of let the dev team loose, and they've gone mad with it, which is actually a good thing. So it's not just the anonymity, it's actually the whole 9 yards of, we have no data. We literally do not have any data on the messaging, the calls, the conversations, the IP addresses, who people are, where they're from, anything. And it's now by design. So if we're asked for data, we can't give it because we haven't got it. And what's really interesting, I was looking at the data. I was looking at the stats. So the only data we have, because we need to know, does it work?
Yeah.
Is this particular ID has contacted this particular ID. So we know that. We know that 2 IDs are communicating, or a group of IDs are communicating, and when they did it. We have no idea what they're talking about or why they're talking or whatever. So we've just got that as stats. And when I was looking at the stats the other day, it was like, oh my God, coming from a very highly regulated industry to having, basically the whole industry now is about, we've got to have as much data as we possibly can so we can defend against fraud and spam. And, it's gone mad, the amount of data we now need and the amount of protection we're having to build. It's like we're building brick wall after brick wall and fences and, protection and protection. It's absolutely other. And I'm looking at this new data and going, we've got nothing. We've got absolutely nothing, and we don't need anything. It's really liberating.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Mark, I mean, Is it just that one use case? A father that wants to talk to his kids, or a mother that wants to talk to kids but doesn't want to talk to their ex-partner. I mean, is that the one use case, or are there other use cases? Because it strikes me that it's such a different approach. There must be other people that will want to access that tech. I mean, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, as we were building out, we started to look at, well, who else would this be useful for? And we've also had people start coming to us telling us who it'd be useful for. And some of them are actually quite obvious when you think about them. I mean, whistleblowers, for example. I mean, and that could be people talking to the press, or talking to charities about abuse cases with
Yeah,
neighbours. All of those kinds of things where people need to stay anonymous. They have to stay anonymous because, and at the moment there's a whole societal thing where there isn't the anonymity, but there are lines. You can phone this line and you can tell people about things you're concerned about or worries that
yeah,
you've got,
yeah,
but you're not anonymous. It might say anonymous, but you're actually not. At the moment you use WhatsApp or Signal or anything, your number's being given away, and now somebody knows who you are.
yeah,
And so there's those really nice user cases where we know that more people will be able to speak out because they will understand that it's completely anonymous, and none of what they're saying, none of the conversation or none of the messaging is actually anywhere. It's just between the two parties, and that's it. So that's a really obvious one. First time dating has always been a big one for us because we actually had a member of staff that was abused and eventually molested, and it was quite bad. So we've always had that in the back of our minds, that whilst dating is always, all the dating apps say it's very safe and da 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 da,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it is. While you're on board inside their arena, their domain, it is very safe. But of course, the moment somebody says, "Can I have your phone number?" which
Yeah.
happens yeah, of course, you give that phone number away, and suddenly you're now susceptible. So when you can turn around and say, "Actually, I'll give you my identity. It's Beach Spark Tiger." Okay, great. Now you can contact me with your identity, and we can talk to each other. And actually, I'm not giving away any of my personal details to you until such time as I feel comfortable to do that. So we feel that's a big one. We had a woman approach us last week, ironically, messaged us and said, "I've just been robbed." Yeah, what's that got to do with us? She said, no. The police have told me that any time you advertise a high value item, she was actually advertising a Rolex,
Right.
I think 9 grand or something, and she turned around and said, I then started communicating with people using the normal channels, which gave away my phone number, and the police have told me that by giving away my phone number, that's giving away my address, and so the thieves just logically they knew where I was, and they robbed my house and stole the Rolex and everything else that was within
Yeah.
of value.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get feedback from people. I was One of the calls I had actually last night was actually quite funny. So I won't say which country, but an individual that used to work for very high up in the military and for government departments, and within 5 minutes of us talking about what he did and what we did, he said, "Your product would be very, very useful for spies."
Yeah. I'm sure it will be. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're definitely going into a new sector then.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting. We've never set out to compete against any of the traditional applications. They're brilliant. We all use WhatsApp, we use Telegram, we use Signal. They're fantastic applications, been around a long, long time. They work, they're omnipresent, everybody's got them. So we're not coming in and saying, "Oh, we're the biggest and the best and you've got to use us." But it is interesting how people, have had some people say to us, "Actually, I really like this anonymity part, and
Yeah.
I'm going to switch."
Yeah. And
Um,
sorry, just for people that are listening, what's the application called?
So it's called Pigeon Link. And again, I let the guys name it. And they named it, they wanted to use Pigeon because that was kind of they felt that was the first form of human communication between, over
Oh,
distance.
pigeon.
And I went with it. So that's actually a really cool name.
Yeah,
And you kind of don't forget it. But I think the 3 words is fun. I mean, it's amazing. And what we're finding, Paul, is if I give you a phone number and ask you to remember that phone number, will you be able to give that back to me? But if I give you my ID, heart, beach, sand, you're going to remember that.
yeah,
And I think as we move forward, we'll start to see that usage being applied in other areas. I mean, I was on the New Jersey Railway, and pretty much at every station there was one of these helplines. If you see something that
yeah,
doesn't look right,
yeah.
and here's the number. It's 1 da 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 da. And of course, 3 minutes into the journey, you're not going to remember that number. But if you had, New Jersey safety, you'd remember that. You'd remember that for the rest of your days.
Yeah.
So we're actually quite excited. We stumbled across this bike. We built this by accident. It was a pet project. We said, what we're going to let's just use 3 words. It's a nice novel thing. It's great for the kids. Daddy Big Smile is I think John's handle or ID. The kids love it, and it has it has a semblance for memory. It has something to do with personality. You can build on that.
Yeah. And what does it run on any phone? I mean, how do you access it?
Yeah, so the original application, by the way, it's completely free, just like all the other apps. We're not charging anything for anything. So messaging, voice, conferencing, video, everything's free within the service. We built it as a web-based service, peer-to-peer, to the point where anybody anywhere in the world could use it. As long as you've got internet, it will work, and it'll actually work in places where some of the traditional services don't work. Because of the way we're running peer-to-peer and getting around certain blockages. So that's really cool. But in addition, we do know that it's actually easier to use an application. So we have got Android and iOS applications as well. But in the main, people will start with just a link. In fact, that's the other main feature. We wanted to make it frictionless. Again, to go with this whole thing, normally when you sign up to an application, you've got to give away your left leg. It's like, what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your bank details, what's your email. With us, you just click a link. You click a link, and we give you your new ID. That's it. Job done. Finished. And all you then have to do is think about logically, well, what do I do with this now? Share it. Give it to somebody. They click on. They get an ID. Now you can swap your IDs. And you can communicate. So in a way, the thing becomes a bit like WhatsApp was. I was around in the very, very early days of WhatsApp, and I remember we were selling mobile services in conjunction with WhatsApp. We were actually putting WhatsApp onto people's phones, and I remember clients saying, "What's this? What's this WhatsApp? What do I do with it? How's it work? What's it for?" So we're exactly the same boat.
And does it just run audio, or can you run video on it? I mean, can you do what we're doing?
Yeah, it's got full video, so you can start a call and then turn it into video, as you say, just like we're doing. It's got group chat and group video, and it's also got live rooms as well. So it's actually the whole 9 yards. As I say, I just let the team go with it, and in fact now, I'll be honest, Paul, I'm spending 80% of my time on it because I really believe in it. I think it's one of those products where, oh my God, it's truly global. It can be used by anybody. Obviously, there are going to be sectors that it's more promising with, and there's going to be people that go, don't need it, haven't got a use for it, can't see the benefit of it. That's fine, but it's a fun product for us. Really.
So let me ask you, Mark, where, I mean, you mentioned that you really believe in it. I mean, where are you going with it? I mean, what does success look like in relation to where you're going with this? I mean, I know you've got a number of other businesses as well. So just illustrate tell us where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the irony, Paul, because all of a sudden, we've been out working. We've got some amazing products. We've got a product we call IntelliQ, which is AI-driven recruitment, onboarding, training, and guidance. It's a phenomenal product. We're selling that into BPOs around the world. We've got other products that support eSIMs. We've got our original core business, which was putting multiple phone numbers on your mobile phone, giving you that capability of making phone calls around the world.
I think that's when we first spoke, when you were rolling that out, actually,
Yeah.
which is some
So
time
all of
ago
that,
now, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, that product's. I mean, it's never lost its client base. I mean, every time we had a client, we had clients using that for 10, 15 years, and that continues. So I think this is what's interesting for me with Pigeon Link. When I look at our market, as a company, we're a very small company. We haven't got a huge budget. We're not a big multinational communication. So, as you know, with any small company, you have to look, where are you marketing? Where's your focus? Who's your target audience? What's really interesting for us, you said, what's your dream market? What's the end goal? So the reason I'm spending so much time on Pigeon Link is that it's actually a very easy sell. It's I don't have to explain anything. It's very similar to WhatsApp. It's very similar to Telegram. It gives you all that, but it's anonymous, and we don't capture any data. That's it. So if you have a need for that, it's a product you're going to use. And what I'm looking at is, so what's my dream? My dream is it's as big as WhatsApp. That's my dream.
Right.
Will we get there? Who knows? Is it possible? Yes, it's absolutely possible. So that's the interesting part about this. It's hugely possible that this product could be, bleeding edge, huge. Yeah. And what's interesting, we've reached that. We are coming up to this inflection point. I'm hearing it all the time, where people are really fed up with what's going on in the world of communications. I said there's more and more brick walls, there's more and more blockages, there's more and more people having to know your inside leg measurement, and there is this pushback that's coming, or slightly here now. And I heard it in the USA. I was talking to people going, of course we're not going, we're not competing, and WhatsApp's amazing, and people actually, Mark, we've stopped using WhatsApp. We don't want to use it anymore. We don't want to use this. We don't want to use that. So we are coming to this inflection. So I'm very, very excited about Pigeon Link in terms of the type of product it is, and the potential scalability with it. And when I look at our other products, of course, if somebody's now a user of Pigeon Link, it's kind of like, well, what else does this company do? So it's almost self-marketing the rest of our business.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And but I mean, I love the ambition to try and be another WhatsApp. I mean, I love ambition. I mean, I think ambition is a good thing. I mean, not everyone achieves it, but it's good to have a go, I think. What would you say is the crux challenge that you're going to have to overcome to be the next WhatsApp? I mean, what is the big barrier that you face? What is the big challenge you're going to have to deal with to get to where you want to get to?
Yeah, I mean, as we know, all of those products had when we talk about overnight successes, as Paul, there's a lot of overnight successes. You could say Facebook was an overnight success. You should say WhatsApp was an overnight success. The reality is they took years to become overnight successes. Yeah. And we're in exactly the same boat. We know it's going to be a slow, long, hard process. It's not going to happen overnight, and we're going to have to dig in deep, and we're going to have to look at all of our resources. So what we're having to do, we can't just go out with blanket global marketing. We just don't have that wherewithal. We're going to have to do it by stealth, and we're going to have to do it step by step. So I basically, we've just picked up 3 markets that we think we should go after. One, as I mentioned earlier, is that the dating applications, they're certainly at a point where safety inside the app is brilliant, but give me your phone number, and then everybody's problem starts. So we're giving them a solution. There is a solution here if they want it. It's completely free of charge to actually embed in their existing systems. It's completely free of charge for their end users. There's kind of no reason for them not to use it. So we have actually already got some clients that are about to go on and use that. So I'm focused on that because 2/3 of the world dates. So dating applications.
Really, that's an extraordinary number, isn't it? 2/3.
I know. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So, we have that.
It shows how old I am. I mean, I didn't realize those sort of things went on anymore. Anyway, sorry, carry on. I interrupted you.
It might be some people are on 4 or 5 different applications, but which stifles the figure slightly. But yeah, it's huge, huge industry. So we're kind of focused on that. We're very focused on the eSIM world. The eSIM world is growing, has really matured, especially this year. So we know that from our existing clients and our partners. So we're very focused on that because eSIMs have the capability of giving you data. That's great, but nothing else. So we can add the communications layer on top of that, which is very exciting. So and we've actually got, ironically, a major bank in an African country that's really interested in offering an eSIM with this product. And one of the other things we can do is kind of bolt on some semi-marketing in terms of the first word in the 3-word ID can be the name of the bank. So everybody's kind of, you're a member of that bank. Yeah, you're a member of that bank as well. So you kind of create a community.
Yeah.
So we've got some community aspects that we can, and additionally to that, we've also got within the service, we've got broadcasting. So that's really powerful in that we don't want spamming. We don't want people spamming each other. But if you are a community leader and you want to broadcast a message to your client base or your group base, you can do within the application. So that's the second one we're going after, and the third one we're going after are influencers, because clearly influencers, they don't actually have a communication level apart from their standard social media platform, and we can give them that. We can give them a whole new raft of communication level. And what's interesting about that kind of spins off to VIP people. You think, influencers are VIPs in a way. And what's dangerous for them is giving somebody their phone number because all of a sudden the world's got their phone number and it's plaguing them.
Yeah.
But we can give them, we're nowhere near getting, Mr. Beast or the Beast or whatever you want to call him. But just as an example, an ID could be, Mr. Beast or Mr. Beast fan club or things of that nature. So, and we've also built it so you can have multiple IDs. So you could have your own personal ID and you can have your business ID. You can have your persona ID, and it's a way of whoever you want communicating with you, but having controls in place as well. So you don't have to answer those messages.
Yeah.
The trouble with the phone number, and don't get me wrong, I love selling phone numbers. We sell hundreds of thousands of phone numbers a year. So this is the irony. We love phone numbers as a business. But we're now saying, they're bloody, excuse the language, but they're dangerous. The moment you give your phone number to somebody, it's unbelievable the amount of information they can get on you because of that phone number. But you give them your 3-word ID, you could be John from Brazil or Max from Ireland. Nobody knows. There's no link back to you.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I mean, it's got lots of interesting things to explore there, aren't there? So Mark, let's. I mean, that's a fascinating proposition and very exciting. I can see why you're excited. Let me talk to you about building businesses, though. I mean, like I say, you've got a number, haven't you? I mean, how do you feel about building a business? I mean, this is an example of where you're going into what is completely new territory. I mean, does that terrify you or does it excite you? I mean, how do you feel about building a business in that way?
No, I mean, my whole life I've built businesses, so I just love it, Paul. I mean, the irony is that once the business is finished and there's not a lot more to do, it's actually quite boring. So I'm always looking for the next one. It's just in my blood. This one, really, really excites me. In fact, all of the businesses that we've got excite me. They're amazing products and services, but this one in particular, because we can reach so many people around the world, and it's bloody hard. We're going to need to be on edge the whole time. And every single moment of every single day, it's like, okay, like, what markets do we get? How do we get to those markets? How do we get to those people? What do we say to them when we it's that whole thing. And it's also really the product. Where does the product go? We don't know. It might be a completely different product in a year's time. We don't know.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I say that is because I am also looking at how do we actually already know how to interconnect with the rest of the telecommunications platforms. So in terms of Pigeon Link being able to then bridge into the mobile network and the PSTN, the landline network, we know how to do that. So there's some exciting things. So yeah, going back to your original, starting a business. No, I love it. It's in my blood. It's what I love doing.
And do you have a particular approach? Do you have a sort of a formula that you use? I mean, because you've done it multiple times. I mean, do you have a sort of a standard, for want of a better way of describing it, algorithm for building a business?
I'd love to say yes, because it makes me sound very intelligent and normal, but the irony is no. I think it's really interesting now. We're in a very different age now with AI, and we're seeing 20-fold times businesses starting every day. And what we need to look at is actually, are they businesses or are they products? So anybody can build a product now. And there are very few products that aren't defensible. So there's all of those things going on in our minds as well, in terms of building products. Do we bother building it because there's 100 like-minded products being formed? So we're in a very, very different world. But I think what was interesting, I've been looking. We've actually put Pigeon Link into Product Hunt, and the learning how to use that particular format for selling a product it's been very confusing for me, if I'm honest. And I still haven't got there. And so I'm kind of chilled about it now. It's like, okay, we'll just let it go and we'll see what happens. But the irony is, I've been looking at a lot of products that are already on there, and I've been clicking them to look through them, and it's all about learning, isn't it? So how have they done it? Where are they now? The irony is, a lot of them are no longer around. So products are actually quite easy to build. Businesses are very different, as you know. And we're very lucky in that we have got a lot of experience in running a business. We know that it's not just about the product; it's about engaging with customers. At the end of the day, here's my other take on business. So most companies start or are formed to do, I believe, one of two things. They're either formed to make a profit, or they're formed to make a raise. And I see very rarely those two cross. Yeah. Because the amount of time and effort that takes to actually make a profit it's 100%. And the amount of time and effort to get a raise is 100%. And you haven't got 200%, you've only got 100%. So, I always set out to make a profit. So my goal is to build a business that becomes profitable, and then to build a business that becomes very profitable. And what we do with it after that, we don't know.
Yeah. I always think that building a business has got sort of two bits. It's got deciding what you're going to do, and then there's making it happen, getting it done. So there's kind of decision making, and there's execution. I mean, do you have a sort of an approach to making those decisions? I mean, what's your take on, because they're often quite, one of the problems is sometimes you can make a decision to, go down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to work on this business. And 3 years later, you come out the other end and nothing's happened, or you've got lost or whatever. I mean, what's your take on that sort of decision making process?
I mean, 2 years ago, Paul, I made a massive mistake, and through all my experience and the experience of a board, I won't say what it is because it's personal to other people, but made a massive mistake with a hire, and with devolving a lot of the decision making processes in the business, and to a point where the business at the end of the day was virtually bankrupt. And it's taken me 18 months to pull that business back. So we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make decisions that when we make them, we think are great. I mean, the people I had around me were going, yeah, this is brilliant, absolutely perfect decision, right time, right place, right person, go, go, go. And we had runway, we had money in the bank, everything was just ticked off beautifully for us to, having made this decision, scale even more. And instead of scaling it, we went backwards.
I mean, I remember that actually. I remember you talking about that a while back. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
So I think there are very clever people in business that have, as you say, they have a formula, they stick to that formula. I'm a little bit more of a maverick. I go with the flow. Okay, what's happening now? And I'm actually quite pleased with that because it does allow us to pivot. I'm not frightened of moving things around. This particular product is a really, really good example. We were very focused on our IntelliQ product, our EasyDial product, our Connect Hub product. Really, really focused on getting those into the market and building our client base. And all of a sudden, PigeonLink comes along,
yeah.
and it's like, hang on a minute, I sniffed something here. We've got to go with this. We've got to, and then some logical reasons, as I explained earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day who made a really interesting point. They said that they don't really worry about making mistakes because they think the biggest mistake is not getting things wrong, it's missing out on the opportunity, which is kind of what you're saying, is that you've got to focus on exploiting the opportunity when it comes your way. And inevitably there are risks involved in terms of getting stuff wrong. But the real risk is not exploiting the opportunity. Does you see what I'm saying?
100%, Paul. I mean, yeah, I'm with that all the way. I mean, if you just sit back and do nothing, because you're frightened of making mistakes, you're not going to do anything. So, yeah, I mean, I call them, mistakes to me are I call them school fees. So, okay, that was expensive. That one wasn't as expensive, but they're less.
And what kind of decisions do you find most, what would you say the most difficult decisions are? Or what kinds of decisions do you find most difficult to make? I mean, what are the ones that really sort of keep you awake at night?
Very few, if I'm honest. I mean, I think when I was younger and running businesses in the earlier days, yeah, I mean, staffing and banking and finance and all the bureaucratical stuff used to keep me awake. Nothing, no, very little keeps me awake now. I mean, if I'm honest, the things that keep me awake are exciting me.
Yeah.
Really, really excited about getting up in the morning and getting on and doing the next thing. So, and I think as you get older and you've gone through those experiences, you understand that that letter you've just got through that might sound all grandiose and worrying is actually not. It's just a letter from a stupid person at the other end, and you can handle that.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to, it would have kept me up and worried me and maybe tired, and then make bad decisions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned about waking up in the morning and wanting to get on with things. I mean, I'm a bit like that. I mean, to come back to the decision making is part of it, and then the other bit is making it happen. I mean, do you have a particular approach to getting stuff done? Because I mean, once you've made the decision, that the critical thing is making it happen, which my experience is usually harder, or it's easy to say, it's more difficult to get done.
Yeah, no, I think we're going into personality example, but yeah, I'm very lucky because I'm kind of an action person. I like activity. I like to be busy. I like the day to go fast, and I like to go fast. And so one of the things I've learned, we talk about priority. Actually, here's an interesting thing. So priorities was a word that didn't exist originally. The word priority was singular,
Yeah.
and it's quite an interesting observation that where we have priorities now because we're in a modern world, but actually it's the priorities. So yeah, very lucky in that I do write things down, but actually that's just for a memory log. I very rarely look back at those things that I've written down because I actually know what I need to do. It's instinctive. And of course, we're always firefighting. There's always something that has to go to the top of the list. And but that's fine, because once that's done, you know what's behind it. You know what's
Yeah.
going to be done.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I was reading a book about astronauts, the way astronauts are trained a little while ago. And it was Chris Hadway, I think it is, the guy who was he was the commander of the International Space Station, and he talks in there about astronauts have this saying, "What's going to kill me next?" And if you think about that, that's actually a really good way to prioritize. Because what you've got to focus on is if this is the thing that's going to kill you now, I don't need to worry about the thing that's going to kill me in 2 hours' time because I need to sort this out or I won't be here to be killed in 2 hours' time. Which is actually, to come back to your point, it forces you to really prioritize on what is the thing I need to get done now, or it will cause me a bigger problem. I mean, I've started having a what I call a kill list in my diary. So I have my to-do list, but I have the kill list on Monday morning of stuff that I must get done, or it's going to cause me an even bigger problem. And it's your point about
yeah,
what is the priority? What is the thing that's on the top of the list that you've got to work on? Not number five, because it's easy or nice, but number
yeah.
one, which is a really important discipline, I think. And have you always been like that, or have you learned to be
No,
that way?
no, not at all. And procrastination in business is the biggest killer.
Yeah,
And certainly when I was my younger days of running business, um, I still to today I hate bureaucracy, and I hate all that fluff that goes with
yeah,
business. Have to do, and I procrastinate. I'd leave, literally. I'd do things like I'd leave the VAT to the very last day, not only the last day but the last hour, because I hated doing it.
yeah,
But you suddenly, but all of a sudden, you're into a situation where, okay, I've left. That's fine. I can get it done. I've got time. Yeah, I've got time, but actually, my computer's just blown up, or the internet's just gone down, or
yeah,
something. And all of a sudden, you can't do it. Physically can't do it. And that's happened to me. So it's kind of like, now, don't procrastinate, because while you're procrastinating, it's still in the back of your mind. You still know it's there. It's got
yeah,
to be done, and you're worrying about it. So now it's like, sign it off as quickly as you can, get it off your plate, move on.
yeah.
And that's come with age, that's come with maturity, and that's come with knowing. So yeah, now
Yeah.
it's done in the
I mean,
first days.
you talked about making mistakes. I mean, what sort of mistakes have you made? What have been what's been the biggest mistake you've made, and what impact did it have?
Well, the biggest one, as I said earlier, was nearly bankrupted the company. And I hopefully won't ever. Well, actually, no, I won't make that mistake ever again, because I'm never going to devolve decision making to anybody else. And so it's been a huge lesson. But yeah, we make mistakes every single day. We send an email out that doesn't get a response, and maybe I needed to do that a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
We're contacting the wrong people. We're not getting through the
So,
gatekeepers.
so let me ask you about that then, because that's a really important point. So we all make mistakes. I mean, I think there are two kinds of people on the planet: people that make mistakes and people that pretend they don't, right? Because everybody makes mistakes. The other interesting question there, to come back to getting it done, having a team, people that you want to, I mean, how do you make sure that the team, not just you, but how do you make sure that your team, your people learn from those mistakes? I mean, do you have a system for doing that, for capturing that? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so actually, we're a remote company. We have been for many years, and that's quite difficult.
Yeah,
And we're also flexible. We're very flexible. So as long as work is done, and it's done to a standard that we need, we're happy with everybody. But if they want to go off down the beach, or they've got a doctor's appointment, we're very flexible. And it's almost like being part of the family. But what we need is obviously communication. And so we do have, every single morning, we do have literally just a 10-minute. We don't believe in meetings for meeting's sake, but it's like, okay, what are you going to sign off today? What was signed off yesterday? How are we doing? Do you need to know about anything else? And it's a time where also we can talk to them about the business, because actually we've given them shares in the business as well. And I think it's important that they understand what we're doing on the marketing, and what we're doing on the sales, and what
yeah,
opportunities we have,
yeah,
because it's their livelihood as well. And they might disagree with it. They might say, actually, we don't want to go down this road. We want to go down another road. So yeah, the morning meetings are really, really important. And I call them meetings, but they're not. They're really just a get together. And sometimes they'll go on a little bit longer if somebody's going to ask. But generally, we try and we aim for 15 minutes. If we go to 30, that's fine.
And and as you've built the business, would you say it's ever sort of really stretched your expertise? Have you ever thought, God, I'm out of depth here?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I want. I mean, at the end of the day, you want people around you that are actually better than you, that know more than you.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud when that happens. I mean, they talk to me about bits and pieces. So I have an understanding. Obviously, I've been in telecoms a long time, so I have an understanding, and it's actually quite nice when they come to me and say, Mark, especially the younger guys, Mark, could you help me with this? That's great. But overall, they know way, way more than me. And so they should. And I'm just the old geezer in the corner that's just listening to them.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at what they can do and how they do it. I mean, when I talk about Pigeon Link, and oh my God, the speed that's been pulled together and the quality of that. And it's not, we mentioned earlier about, anybody can pull a product together nowadays, and they can.
Yeah.
But what was really cool about this was, that particular team that was on Pigeon Link didn't actually understand communications, and they were talking to the communications side, and they were getting a good understanding of that. And then they were talking about the security side, and it just all came together, and it came together so quickly. And I'm really proud of that, because it was a small section of the team, and it was a side hustle. But it's such a super high quality product. That I'm proud to put our name against it.
Yeah, and that must be great for you and for your people, I would have thought. I mean, it's lovely when people feel that way, isn't it? And they've done something that's going to be really valuable to people. That just makes people feel good. I don't think it's any more complicated than that, but it's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, and when we talk about it in the team meets, you can just see the rest of the team that haven't been directly involved in it, but have contributed a little bit. They're also really proud of it as well. And it's like, oh yeah, no, we really see this going. In fact, one of the teams, so we gave them all an opportunity to put their IDs in place, and one of them, typical tech, his is do not call.
Well spotted. That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
Super intelligent, it's like, wow.
Yeah, cool. And let me ask you about. I mean, you're in the Philippines at the moment. Obviously I'm in Oxford. You're in the Philippines. I mean, you were in New York last week. What's your take on dealing with? I mean, being in telecoms, but using digital technology means you can, it's a global opportunity to build a business. It's a fantastic opportunity. You could work anywhere really, do stuff on any continent. But that also means you face global competition. If you could be dealing with telecoms people in Latin America or telecoms people in Germany or whatever. What's your take on keeping track of and competing in a kind of a global marketplace? Because telecoms is truly a global marketplace, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, the core telecoms is obviously operated by the main telecoms companies. We actually buy from them. So I mean, there's a hierarchy in anything. So and what we've been doing in the last couple of years is actually trying to work with some of those operators for them to include some of our products and services within their portfolio. So we are interconnected with a few, which is nice. I've also in the past had what we call an MVNO, so that's a mobile virtual network operator underneath the Vodafone network. So again, understand all of that part. So in terms of competing, I don't think we're ever competing as such, because telecoms is huge. There's so many layers and sections to it that you can push out your own little part. And that might be a PBX, it might be a button on a website that does callback, or
Mm.
it might now be an AI chatbot, or an AI ring system or calling system. There are just so many different things.
Mm.
So I've never been worried about competition, and I think competition's good. I think we all need competition to keep us on our toes, and make sure we're pushing forward. I think what's more exciting for me is that it is a global economy, and there's always going to be places that I can find that have a need for what I'm offering, as opposed to we used to sell in our local village, and the amount of potential clients is only what's around them, 5 kilometers circumference of you. Now it is truly global, and our job is, I think, not so much us worrying about the competition and what we can do better, but of course your product's only as good as the people that know about it. So our job is to make sure as many people know about it and have the opportunity to look at it, test it, think about it.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult one, because it is a global economy, and we want to get it in front of as many people as possible. But if you don't have that perspective, then you're not going to sell to anybody.
But
Because
let me just pick up something you said there, because you said competition's good because it keeps you on your toes. And then but on the other hand, you said, but I don't worry about it. I mean, so I mean, because you're
well,
saying competition keeps you on your toes, but then I don't worry about it, which is saying I'm not on my toes. I mean, how do you, I mean, because
I'm
if
on my
you don't keep moving, tell me I'm wrong. If you don't
yeah
keep moving, somebody's going to eat your lunch.
yeah. So the dichotomy there is that PigeonLink is now by default is in a hugely competitive marketplace. I mean, the
Yeah,
biggest marketplace you could possibly have. Everybody has got a maybe one, maybe two, maybe three messaging services, communication service on their mobile phone.
yeah,
Bummer. So we're entering into probably the most competitive marketplace there is. I'm not worried about those guys, because I've got a product that I feel has got its own niche, and has got a part to play in the world. And the way I liken it to is, if you're trying to move a sofa out of your house, are you going to use the sports car, or are you going to use the utility vehicle? So obviously you're going to use the utility vehicle, or get a van. So
yeah.
it's horses for courses. But what
Right.
I'm trying to say is, in terms of on my toes, I can't sit back. I can't just say, well, there's the product, take it or leave it. I've got to be better than that. I've got to keep pushing the product.
Yeah.
If a customer comes along and says, oh, if only it had, then away we go. I mean, we've just this week, I think we've completely transformed the product in a couple of ways. One way is, so one of the things I mentioned, it's completely free. Completely free to use. Anybody can use it, and we will give you your own ID when you activate. And I'm calling activate now, as opposed to sign up or register, because there is no sign up or registration. So click the button, activate. There's your ID. Fantastic. Away you go. Share that ID with people, and now you can communicate with them, and they can communicate with you. We've added what I think is going to be very interesting. Kind of I think it'll build into a marketplace of IDs. So if you wanted your own vanity ID, we're going to charge you for that, and that's where the remuneration comes from. And what we've just done now, though, is, so we already had the platform in place where you could buy your own vanity ID, and I've been staggered at how many people, while I was in New York and I was talking to people about it, and they were already thinking about their ID. So, oh yeah, I'd have this one. And so we know we've got that right. And of course, our own team and myself, we've all gone and got our own vanity IDs. So we know that's a good play, and that's going to help us financially, obviously, which is what we're all here to do. I mentioned earlier, you're in business to make a profit. What's interesting about that is we're now sharing that profit with our users. That, I think, is huge. So automatically, if you share your ID with somebody and that person upgrades, you will get a share of that upgrade.
Wow.
We're taking it too deep. So if that person then shares their ID with somebody and that person upgrades, you're going to get a share of that as well. So by making it becomes self-viral, but also self-funding in
Yeah, what a
terms of,
brilliant idea. I mean, that's a really, how did you think of that? That's a, because it's an incentive, isn't it? I mean, it's a really clever
yeah,
idea.
yeah, total incentive. And it was actually, it was, I'll be honest with you, we haven't actually finished it. Very, very difficult for us to do. And I'll tell you for why it's difficult. It's difficult because we don't know who the hell you are. So we know how to fix it, but we haven't fixed it yet. But basically, you give out your ID to somebody. Who have you given it to? We don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So you've kind of created a rod for your own back there, haven't you?
So we know how to fix it. But
Yeah.
again, we're
Yeah.
very, very focused on this anonymity part. And but we're also now very focused on, well, there's a reward here. And so we're making that a big part um, of the service
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah.
So when we go back to saying, always on our toes, yeah, we're always looking at how can we make this better? How can we improve
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
The
No, I'm
core.
sure. I mean, I know you, so I know that's the case. So I totally get that. I mean, I was just asking the question about the point. Let me ask you about the journey that you've been on. So, what would you? I mean, when you look back on, I mean, this business. I know this is only a couple of months in, but you've got a range of other businesses. I mean, when you look back, what would you say that you've learnt about being a decision maker? And what have you learned about building a business? But in particular, what about what have you learnt about effective decision making? I mean, do you think about decision making in a different way now? Would you say that effective decisions, well, what you think of effective decisions are now is changed, perhaps?
That's actually a really difficult question to answer, Paul, because I think that I don't work for a big corporation. I have worked for big corporations, and the decision-making process in those was very, very different, and I didn't like it. And if I'm honest, I was very much a maverick. I mean, one of the businesses I was in, they left me alone because I was such a maverick, and the reason they left me alone is because I was earning them a huge amount of money, and I was earning them a huge amount of money because I was a maverick. I was doing things differently
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
expectations, and I've always been that way. Um, but I don't like making decisions in big corporations because of the way you have to go through that whole protocol. So decision making for me is just make the bloody decision, And I don't know whether it's wrong or right. I will sleep on things. So I'm actually very good at going to bed with the with a decision needed to be made in the morning, and by and large, in fact, probably 99% of the time, I know exactly what the decision should be.
yeah. Because the risk if you get too good at sleeping on it is you become the bottleneck.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think one of the things we've instilled in our team is that they're not only working remotely and working on their own, but they're also able to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And we've empowered them to do that. And I'll give you an example. So 4 years ago, I would be watching the support tickets like a hawk because I'm very passionate about my business. And if somebody's got a complaint, I want to know about it. And I want to know and I want it fixed, because I don't want any bad blemishes about my business. I don't want people talking badly about my business. I've let go of that because actually the team are really good. And the times like 2 days ago, I did spot a ticket, which was an odd one. And I just happened to me, did you get back to so and so? And the answer came out, yep, wrote to him, it's all sorted, no problem at all. It's like fantastic.
Yeah,
So
that must be so reassuring that you've developed a team that does that. Let me ask you the corollary. I mean, if getting stuff done is partly about decision making and partly about making it happen. I mean, what have you learnt when you look back? What have you learnt about getting stuff done, about execution? Have you changed in terms of how you get things done now?
I don't think so, Paul. I think, just do it. It's always been my motto. Just get on and do it. Get in the trenches, get your hands dirty, get your feet wet.
And what are those
Just
things? What would you say those things say about you as a leader?
um, no idea. I mean, I'm probably I don't know what I'm thought of as a leader. I've had some great successes as a leader. I never look at myself as a leader though. I don't think I don't go by titles. I don't, we've all got titles because the world needs them, but internally we're all a team. We're all on the same boat,
Yeah,
and we're all rowing in the same direction. I'm no bigger or better than any one of my team members. So I don't, this leader thing is kind of a bit of a mystery to me.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
you must be doing something right,
uh,
or you wouldn't have built what you've built. Let me ask you a couple of other questions before we wind up, which it's kind of on a similar vein. If you were starting again, if you went back to day one, if you like, not necessarily with this product, but when you start, I mean, is there anything you do differently, perhaps, given what you know now?
um, to be honest, no, Paul. I mean, I've had a. I always say I always say if I was to die tomorrow, I'd be really, really happy. I'm really proud of what I've done. I'm really, really happy with what I'm doing. To be honest, I think I've got a lot more years to go, and I'm really happy about that. I'm excited. I'm loving business in general. I'm loving where we're going. Obviously, there are things that go hand in that. I'm a workaholic, and on a personal side, yeah, marriage, children, that I didn't handle as I probably should have done, because work has always come first. Work is my first love. I love work. I love what I do. I love the challenges.
Mm,
Um, I love meeting new people, understanding new things, understanding new technologies, and I'm excited for the world that's coming along. I think it's got some challenges,
mm.
but I'm really excited about the speed we're going at. I know a lot of people are very frightened about the speed of change. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about learning about and understanding what's coming next.
Yeah,
So, you know, I think I'm very fortunate to have an open mind. Of course, there are days where you go, oh, what have I got to deal with that? There are always challenges, but in general, um, so I don't think apart from the personal side of life, I don't think I'd change anything. I, the bottom line for me is if you're not enjoying what you're doing, get out and do something
yeah,
different.
yeah. I think that's really good advice, actually. That is really good advice. One last question, which you may have just answered, but I wonder whether there's another answer. If you were to give a piece of advice to a rookie CEO just starting out, beyond what you've just said, which is if you don't enjoy it, get out, what would your advice be?
Oh gosh, obviously depends on the size of the business and the state of the business. I guess if I think I've been I try and help a lot of small businesses, a lot of startups. So what I find, and this might be at a tangent to your question, Paul, but what I find with um, a lot of new companies with a new product is that they're trying to develop the product to the end niche, make it absolutely perfect before bringing it to market. And my advice is get it to market as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, yeah,
So, minimal viable product is there for a reason. Those three letters are there for a reason. It's as a minimum. And the fundamental reasons for that is that your audience will guide you from
yeah,
there on in terms of the direction the product should take. And I think that's really, really important. Too many products come to the market where they're flash, they're complete, but they've missed the audience,
yeah,
they've missed the target,
yeah.
but they got it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good piece of advice, actually. I mean, I always say, if you're going to market with something that you're not embarrassed about, you've waited far too long. Because that's where you get the feedback, isn't it? If it's a
Yeah,
perfect product, people won't. But if you say to them, "This is a prototype. Tell me what you think," you'll get good feedback, which is really what the stuff that you need to moving forward. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Mark, as always, great to talk to you. Thanks for making a bit of time. What a great product. I mean, I'm really looking forward to, in fact, I'm going to talk to you about having the Chief Uncensored on Pigeon Link. I'll have a chat with you about that in a minute. But I mean, thank you for making time to come and have a chat with us because I know you're jetting around the world doing exciting things. So I appreciate you making a bit of time and good luck with particularly with Pigeon Link, but with all the other stuff going forward.
Thank you, Paul. Always a pleasure. Love it. Thank you.
Cheers then, Mark. Bye bye.
Take care.